Good afternoon and welcome to Radio Roast Super Bowl 57 here in Phoenix. I'm Kayla Bradham with Roy Kessel Sports Philanthropy Network. Really excited for this interview with NFL alumni Erik Kramer to talk about his book and mental health. Erik, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. What a great scene, right? I mean, it's exciting. Super Bowl's coming up. Great to be here.
So let's talk about where the concept of mental health came into play for you. When did you have this epiphany that this was your destiny?
Well, I think a couple years ago, a friend of mine who I played college football with lived in Henderson, Nevada. Now, I live in the LA area, so it's not that far apart. And he was going through some struggles where he had lost his mother, lost his brother, older brother to cancer, and was a high school football athletic director and head coach, and was just sort of not feeling quite up to what he had expected was going to happen where he was school wise. And so I started going back and forth, driving every other weekend or so for a while. And so I thought to myself eventually, why are we waiting until someone's our age at 50ish to start reaching out to other people? And so, yes, this idea started then. Instead of waiting until 50, how about we wait until about 9, 10, 11? When kids are in fourth, fifth, sixth grade, and start learning how to build your own sort of home team, right? Support group, based age appropriately enough, and identify some things in people, characteristics of people that you as a young person would admire, and things like telling the truth or having your friends back or being an active listener and that sort of thing as a way to be able to approach somebody and say, hey, could you be on my home team? And then from time to time, I like to come and share with some things about you because I've noticed that you are a good listener or whatever. And so it's a way to kind of fend off or abruptly, proactively intervene in situations that would allow depression and anxiety and those things and isolation to creep in.
So looks like we
Well, I'm
lost
sure they did.
looks like we lost Kayla
I,
for a second. Let's so Eric
I
Kayla's
don't.
asking about the concussions and the
No,
issues that have
I
happened.
heard her.
Go ahead.
Would you like me to just continue on? Because I did hear what she said. Okay. So can you ask it again? Because I forgot what we were talking about right now. Yes. Now I don't remember having one, but that's not how it works either. So yes, I was some head trauma for sure played a part in from the time you don't have it to the time you do have it, there's going to be an effect afterwards. And so, but what you had mentioned, depression had played a part throughout my career. It really didn't. It did pop up one time in 1994 when I was playing for the. I had gone from my last year in Detroit to playing with Chicago, and after a few games, got hurt. And so, what happened was I went from somebody who had been actually actively recruited, like we want you, and to being we don't want you because we got another guy that's playing all right now. And so that triggered a little something to me that I wasn't prepared for, and it affected me in a way where I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. And I was thinking, wow, everybody's thinking what I'm thinking, which is you're not good enough. Well, no, they weren't. But in the moment, in my mind, yes, they were. And so I think being in that, it was the first time I'd ever been introduced to the idea that antidepressants could help. But one thing that did help for sure was that, but it doesn't have, there's no like you take a pill and, oh, God, I feel great now. That itself takes some time. But talking things out and finding people that will listen or are good listeners, even if it doesn't feel good to you, when you're depressed, nothing feels good. And so my remedy for this is to never get depressed in the first place or anxious. Or what kids go through these days in school at all ages is isolation in one form or another, where it's bullying, cyberbullying, or some kid talking about another kid as though they're not good enough. Well, it's not the whole class that thinks that, it's one kid that thinks that. And they get masterful at isolating the one kid they take target on. And so the mental health program I'm talking about deals with young kids and young families that uh, where you're reaching out, you learn how to identify characteristics at a young age in people that you admire because of those characteristics. And then you start to learn how to actively approach them to, hey, every now and then I'll go through some things, and I've noticed the way that you listen to people. That's attractive to me, or at whatever age appropriate way you say it, and then you start to build two or three or four people that could be a coach, it could be a fellow student, it could be whoever, it could be a parent, and these are people that you're able to say, hey, from time to time, I'm going to need a safe place and a safe person to go to. In fact, there's sometimes I'd love it if you'd approach me if you interpret something might not be going on just right. And so that way, if you start that at age 9, 10, 11, and you carry that on through high school, then for the better part of your life, by the time you're out of high school, this is who you are. You're not the person that's held on to everything and you've experienced maybe some really hard challenges later in life. Well, if you have started this at a young age, this is your answer to challenges. And so that's what I think that myself, two other people are actively involved in getting this going by this coming August of 2023 in an after school format in the area I live in, which is Thousand Oaks, California.
So, Eric, I know that you talk about starting that at an early age, and that's so important because the skills that kids are able to develop at that stage and really be able to translate across gives them so much more confidence and so much more affirmation as they go through their life, not only in sports but beyond, right? And I know that a lot of the program that you're talking about is really preparing them beyond just the sport of football or really any sport.
Sports won't even be involved. It's this isn't about sports. It's not about your job. It's not about. It's about the communication that happens between people when they care about each other, and there's nothing associated with anything other than just that because we're people first. We are whatever we are second after that, career wise. And so kids are just kids. And so, but they encounter issues that are challenging issues. And when you don't have someone to go to and you become the isolated one and you think the world's against you, which they're not, it's typically one person, then you start to draw out, hey, I'm not going to get isolated by this one person because the minute I feel isolated, I go to two, three, and four people. All of a sudden, I'm not isolated, that person is. And so that's what I'm trying to promote here is, and there is a program for this, and we've got the curriculum to start it. And so it's exciting to me that kids are our future, and learning how to deal with adult issues as a kid, hopefully adults can deal with these kind of issues and build their own home team. And why not start it with kids though?
Kayla?
I think one of the things that I really like about that, Eric, is all of these experiences. You're an expert in the space. It led you to write a book, right? The Ultimate Comeback. Tell us a little bit about the autobiography.
Well, it's a compilation, right? So I played football, so it's about a football player, which would be me, and some of my journeys uh, in the sport itself, challenges, of course, that come. So it's not just a guy in a uniform with a name on the back. It's about a real person who encounters various challenges along the way. Some good, some victories, some defeats, and it also incorporates, as I mentioned earlier, there was a period of time there in 1994 where I went through a little bout of depression, which at the time, anyone who suffered depression knows it's not so little. And there's also some challenges and some tragedies that happened after football was done that Um, that led to me losing a child, my son Griffin at age 18. My mother, not long after. My father, who his was around the time my mom died, got esophageal cancer. Well, that didn't take him right away. That was a long, slow journey downward. And so while it's not, it sounds grim reaperish, it's not, because there are always ways to look at things on the bright side. And that's what ultimately this book is about, is how to come out of that and onto something I am right now and have been for several years now. I love getting out of bed in the morning. I love contributing to someone else's life in a positive way because we all need each other, period. And that has nothing to do with what you do for a living or what you want to do. It has to do with being a person who people need people, period. And so this program is going to devote itself, this book is going to devote itself to advancing those issues.
Well, Eric, we want to thank you for coming on the show with us today. I know you've had a crazy schedule the last few days. You've been talking to a lot of groups, and I think that that just emphasizes the importance of the issues that you're dealing with because there's so much widespread recognition. This is an area that becomes so crucial to young people across the country, and your message is really making an enormous impact on these kids. And I know that what you're developing uh, is scalable and it's going to grow. And this is something that we look forward to partnering with you from Sports Philanthropy Network and talking about how we can help expand the distribution of that message and deploy that into other organizations, schools, after school programs, youth sports across the country. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, I really appreciate this opportunity you guys have afforded me, and what a great forum this is. It's a great, obviously, the Super Bowl is in town, so a lot of people are here, and I really appreciate this time you've taken with me.
So for Caleb Adam, I'm Roy Kessel, your host on Sports Philanthropy Network. Thanking Eric Kramer for joining us today. We want to thank our viewers and listeners for being part of this broadcast, reminding you to live generously. Thank you.